Welcome to Rock Your Talk Expert Interview Series. I am Leisa Reid, joined by Kelly Moore. We're going to hear more from Kelly in just a moment. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
We interview experts and we really look at where business and emotional intelligence meets. And we also want to find out really cool tips from experts. So I know Kelly's got some great things she's going to share with us today. Kelly, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, I work for One Digital Health and Benefits as a senior client executive, and I'm also a principal of the company. I sold more benefits in August of last year after 17 years on my own as a small business
Wow.
owner. And
Congratulations.
love it at One Digital. They have so many resources. They're just fantastic, especially during this pandemic, just so many resources. So that's why I'm really excited to be here today and share some of those with you.
Yeah, I know. No, you have particularly more than some of our other guests, something that's very top of mind for people. So there's so many questions out there of like, how do we manage through this COVID-19 and sheltering in place, and with all the different laws businesses are having to follow, and there's a lot of moving parts. So that's why I was really excited that you were able to find some time today to get on to the show. Can you tell us, let's just dive in and tell us one of your tips. I know you got 3 tips for us today.
Sure. Well, our tips, the tips I want to talk about today are around supporting your workforce.
Yes.
And supporting your workforce is really supporting your business, because for a lot of companies, the workforce is the business. And so the first tip is about taking advantage of the CARES Act, the stimulus package. And one of the biggest pieces of it is this Paycheck Protection Program. I think all of my clients certainly have already applied, and most people have. And as they're applying now, they're starting to say, "Hey, the money ran out." I would still encourage businesses to apply, because we're looking at getting another 250 billion on board.
Okay.
And the reason that why this is so wonderful is because if you use the loan to pay your employees, your rent, your utilities, and you're able to maintain your workforce for 8 weeks after the loan has funded, it's forgiven. So it becomes a gift. And I'm talking principal and interest. So it's a beautiful thing, and it's proportionate. And so this is a way for you to use the government's money to invest in your workforce and to keep things moving along while we're getting through this quarantine time.
So important. So important.
It is. There's also the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL. This loan is different. It's not forgivable, but when you apply, this also is through the SBA, you get $10,000 right up front. Boom. And that helps, even if you get denied. And so you could, between those 2 loans, you should be able to get your business to keep it moving for that period of time while we're waiting for things to open back up again. And then also, don't forget about the retention tax credit. If you're keeping employees on, you can get up to 50%, up to $10,000 refund, like right off your taxes, right off the payroll taxes that you pay. So that's a beautiful thing. So it's really important for employers to know about that. Can help them to keep in business, stay in business during this rocky time.
And are you okay with people reaching out to you to learn more about that? Or is that something that
Absolutely. Listen, One Digital created an entire coronavirus advisory hub.
Wow.
And we had it all in one place, and then it started getting confusing where to find things. So we have one that's about supporting your workforce, and one that is about the stimulus package. Okay. And we have videos, conversations, forms, guidelines, just you name it. So you can also reach out to me. A lot of times I like to get on the phone with somebody and walk them through the hub so they know where to find things. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything you can think.
Where should they reach you just while it's hot? Like what would you like them to do?
I think email is best. Kelly.moore@onedigital.com. It's just KELLY.MOORE@onedigital.com.
And how do you spell out One Digital? Like, is it?
It's
number 1?
No, it's spelled out ONE.
ONE digital.com.
Yes.
So one spelled out digital.com. Okay, got that. Good. And yes, that's super important. We want to make sure everybody who can get that in their hands.
It is, and it's important if you get the loan. Like right now, a lot of people, as I have said, have already gotten a loan. It's really important to maximize the forgiveness over the next 8 weeks. And that's where I'm going to take you to step 2. And that is to that cost containment. Because you want to keep that head count, you have to get your costs down. And I'm particularly looking at the employee benefits. Mm-hmm. So there are some things you can do, like downgrading your plans, changing the employer contribution strategy. So like, in other words, what I'm saying is if you had, you know, a $30 copay plan, maybe you go to a $50 copay plan or something like that, or go to a narrow network plan where instead of the full HMO network, it's a, you know, subset of it that will reduce the cost by like 10%.
Mhm.
Another thing you can do is like if you used to pay 100%, maybe you pay 75, or if you paid 75, you pay 50, or, you know, somehow to get your costs down.
Mhm.
Another thing that you can do is take advantage of the grace periods that the companies are providing. Not all of them, it's on a case-by-case basis, but some carriers are allowing 30 or 60 or 90 days. So you can push those payments out, keep the expenses down so you can, you know, make the money last while we're waiting for the economy to reopen.
Wow. Okay. That's powerful too. There's so many different facets to this challenge that we have. So I appreciate, you know, what you're sharing. And those are things that people may not have realized were options, even if it's maybe a temporary option. And that's something that you could talk to your employees about, like say, hey, we were able to do this, but we have to do that. How are we okay? You know, and just really opening those lines of communication too, I think um, probably would make it a smoother transition if it's affecting your employees, right?
It is, and it's better to have benefits that are a little downgraded than to have none at all.
Right. That's what I would say. Like, and when you present it, and I think you could probably help somebody with that, where you say, if you know, here's what we can propose. Let's take a look. Let's kind of like open up the hood, look and see what you have and how can we help, and then also help that business owner to present those solutions in a way that is well received. And it's true. Like, I mean, we're we're making a lot of lemonade over here, right, out of some lemons. And so that's sometimes what we need to do. Like, okay, we have choice that's not great, choice that's not great, but this one's better than that one, you know? So we have to kind of to see like how can we all survive through this?
Yeah, and it is a lot about the messaging. And I know that companies, you know, they do these things. They don't have, most companies who have less than 50 employees don't have to offer benefits, but they do.
Right.
And so these are optional things, you know. So, you know, we start out talking about supporting the workforce. So my third tip
Mm-hmm.
is about relief for your workers. So one thing that is kind of a new word, it's an old word, but we're using it in new ways now, it's furlough.
Mm-hmm.
You heard that word?
Yep.
So you've never heard it before now. So if you lay somebody off, that means they're terminated, they get COBRA, and they apply for unemployment. Oh, and you have to pay out all their vacation that was accumulated. So keep that into account. If they're furloughed, that means that if you don't have work for them, they're not earning any money, that you can keep their benefits to some extent, and then they can apply for unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
And the intention is to rehire them again. If you have ever tried to hire employees and keep your time, that is the hardest thing to do. So if you have a workforce that you want to bring back at some point, furlough might be a good option.
Excellent. That's a really, yeah, it's funny because most people wouldn't even think that it sounds just such a, I wish we have negative connotations with that, but when you look at the situation again, if we can remember that these are hopefully temporary options, and they're better than other options, then it's good to educate yourself on that to see what makes sense.
Yeah.
And then how do you, I know we were talking about earlier, before we were recording, we were talking about EQ and mindset. And I know you have a couple of things that you do personally, right, that help you keep a strong, healthy mindset through all of this?
It's true, you know, and I'm one of the workers who is telecommuting, and a lot of workers are. And one thing that all the carriers are offering for free now, this is kind of relief for workers and relief that I have seen, is the free telehealth. Okay, so I was talking to I was on a webinar listening to a doctor today, and his medical group in the month of January had 14 tele visits, you know, virtual visits. In March, they had 2,500.
Whoa, wow. That's a
So
really big difference.
I know. So one thing that we're learning is that geography is really no longer an obstacle. You know, look at us sitting here talking today
Mm-hmm.
without having to get up and drive everywhere. And, the doctor visits where you can see somebody in a matter of minutes and decide if it's worth a drive to go into a place where there may be sick people
Right.
or not.
That's a good point. That's a
So,
good point.
so I think the way that I stay sane is knowing that this is not going to last forever. This too shall pass. And as a telecommuting person, I need to have a routine. So if I go to work in my pajamas, the day does not go well. So I get up, take a shower,
Jewelry on.
I put on jewelry, get a workout beforehand, and and have some kind of a routine. And we know that this too shall pass. Now it's going to take a toll on our businesses and our lives that will take a long time to get past. But there may be some good that comes out of it, and I just really try to focus on that, like the geography not being an issue, telehealth, and just spending more time on the phone and with friends far away, because I feel so isolated. And I'm going to get a new puppy.
Oh, that's so exciting. What kind of puppy are you going to get?
Well, I'm looking for a Shih Tzu Maltese mix, or maybe with a poodle in there. So I've been, hunting, because a lot of time here by myself, just want another beating heart in this house.
Oh, well, my Shih Tzu, she's not with me right now, but she usually is in every single meeting and every interview that I am. And she is the best assistant. She never says a word, and she sleeps through most of it, but she's quiet and cuddly. I love that. That's so cool. Well, hopefully this has helped some of our audience members really with some great tools and strategies that you can literally use right away, and reach out to One Digital, reach out to Kelly Moore at onedigital.com so that you can, my dog is making an entrance, so that you can get those tips right away. And if you are in a position where as a leader, you're wanting to develop your own emotional intelligence and be a stronger influence and inspirational leader, reach out to Productive Learning. That's what we specialize in. Really, conscious leadership circle, and being a conscious leader is now more than ever very, very important, as people are, having uncertainty and panic, that they're going to be looking to you as the leader of the company to show them the way. So in a healthy way that calms everybody down, but also that you're taking care of yourself. So
That's a good service you're providing, Lisa. Thank
thank
you so
you.
much for doing that.
Yes. All right. Well, everybody, we'll see you next time. Meanwhile, be good to yourself and to somebody else too. I'm Leisa Reid from Productive Learning and Get Speaking Gigs Now.